رژیم اسلامی و اعدام منتظر را محکوم کردند. بیشتر نمایندگان مجلس اروپا وکالت سیاسی دستگیر شدگان در ایران را به عهده گرفتند. در دولت‌های اروپایی خواستند که سپاهپاسداران را در لیست گروه تروریستی قرار دهد.
During my time at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I witnessed the regime was selling billions of dollars of worth of oil, gas, and natural resources. But the money illegally went to North Korea, China, and Russia to purchase weapons, missiles, and nuclear-related materials. At the same time, the Iranian people were suffering from poverty, unemployment, and hunger. And when they protested against the hunger and these conditions, they were brutally suppressed. Seeing this deep injustice in Iran was a decisive turning point for me and pushed me to leave diplomacy and become a human rights activist.
この時間の8ビットニュースはイランの現状を伝えるために長年イラン政府で外交官として活動を続け、そして現在は人権活動家として今イラン国内で声を上げている市民の皆さんのメッセージを世界に発信しているエスラミさんお越しいただいています。Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
よろしくお願いします。エスラミさんは長年イラン政府に関わってきて内側の状況をよくご存知です。でそのエスラミさんから見てイランの軍が国民を弾圧する、これは一体誰がどのような責任のもとにおいて実行しているのか教えていただけますか。
Before entering this discussion, please let me explain the root cause of the recent events in Iran, so that your viewers can better understand the situation. Why Iran, which was once the most powerful country in the Middle East, and thousands of foreigners, including a large number of Japanese, were working there and was known as the gendarme of Persian Gulf, suddenly became one of the poorest countries in Asia, and more than 8 million Iranians forced to migrate because of unemployment and economic collapse. As you know, more than 20,000 Iranians migrated to Japan alone in search of work. To understand the reason behind these events, we need to take a brief look at Iran's history. Iran has two major advantages. First, Iran is located in the most strategic position in the world between Asia and Europe. So, the main part of Silk Road, which connected China and India to Europe, passed through Iran. So, Iran is the main corridor of transit between Asia and Europe. That's why Persian language is classified as Indo-European language. Our Persian language is that. So, in particular, Russia's only natural access to the warm waters of Persian Gulf passes through Iran. Second, Iran is rich in oil, gas, natural resources, and especially gold. Because of this strategic position, Iran has always been under invasions and repeated attacks throughout history. From the invasion of Alexander the Great from Greece and the burning of Persepolis, the ancient Iranian capital in Shiraz, and repeated Roman Empire attacks to Iran, that finally Iran suffered a major defeat. At the moment, when Iran was militarily weakened, Arabs invaded and occupied Iran and committed a lot of crimes to change the language, culture, and the religion of Iranians from Zoroastrianism to Islam. For many years, Iranians fought to free their country from Arab rule, and Iran was eventually liberated. But very soon, Mongolia invaded to Iran, then Portugal, then Spain, and later invasion by Russia. Also, during World War I and World War II, Iran was again occupied by warring powers. In short, Iran's history is one of the most tragic histories of repeated invasions, violence, and mass killings. During World War I, despite Iran's neutrality, major powers occupied Iran. Iran's resources and infrastructure were devastated under the boots of the foreign armies. After the war, King Reza Pahlavi the Great rebuilt the country and restored economic growth and stability. But in World War II, again, warring powers occupied Iran and destroyed all Iranian infrastructures. After the withdrawal of Russian, British, and American forces from Iran, King Mohammad Reza Pahlavi continued the reconstruction of country and transformed Iran into the paradise of Middle East, a place where thousands of foreigners, including Japanese nationals, were working and living. So, European governments and Russia were highly dependent on Iran's oil, gas, and natural resources, and they wanted to obtain them with the lowest price. However, King Reza Pahlavi, out of patriotism, resisted against their pressure. At that point, Western powers turned against the king of Iran, and communist Russia took advantage of this situation and supplied weapons and explosives to Iran's Communist Party and radical Islamic clerics, exploding and burning public places, cinemas, and widespread unrest, and overthrew the king of Iran, and Khomeini established the Islamic Republic regime in Iran. Khomeini's Islamic regime sold Iran's oil, gas, and natural resources to the West at the lowest price, while Russia and Communist China also achieved their strategic objectives in Iran. However, like communist ideology, the Islamic regime believed that exporting its ideology globally. For this reason, the Islamic Republic established the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and Quds Force and spent countries' oil, gas, and natural resources revenues on building proxy forces such as Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and dozens of extremist and terrorist groups across the region. As a result, the Iranian people faced widespread hunger and economic hardship. Now, let me return to your question. Under the Islamic law, the supreme leader of the regime, first Khomeini and later Ali Khamenei, is regarded as God's representative on earth. And opposing his order is opposing God's will. Therefore, in Islamic Republic, like North Korea, the ultimate authority rests solely with the leader and all orders flow from him. The supreme leader stands above the law, all media are state controlled, no free internet, and any form of criticism of the leader or the government is regarded as a serious criminal offense.
まさに強権的な状況があるっていうことと、あと私たちの国自身も、関わりがない話じゃないっていうことがよく分かりました。で、実際にその政府が市民を弾圧する理由として、治安の問題であったりとか、外国の干渉があるということをイラン政府は今説明をしていますが、これに関してはエスラミさんどう見ていますか
？Really, I'm very sorry for that. For the past 47 years, because of poverty and hunger, many Iranians who were able to leave the country have migrated. In reality, more than 8 million people have fled Iran. Now, the economic situation has become so bad that even shopkeepers and merchants have closed their businesses and joined the protest. Therefore, these protests against poverty and unemployment have nothing to do with the foreign interference. The regime falsely attributes them to foreign involvement in order to justify repression and the killing of its own people.
実際に認知戦だとかいろんな情報がありますけど、やっぱり国民の皆さんが今疲弊しているからこそ声を上げているということですよね。で、これまでの運動、プロテストもあったと思います。過去のプロテストと今回のプロテストの違いというのはどういうところにありますか
？Yes, this time, because of the intensifying economic hardship, even shopkeepers, merchants, and business owners have joined the strikes and protests. More importantly, Prince Reza Pahlavi issued a call, and millions of Iranians across the country who deeply long for return of the global and golden era of monarchy took to the streets in support of Prince Reza Pahlavi. This is the difference.
そして今回、国際社会は深刻な懸念を示したものの、日本をはじめ目の前の殺害を止めることができないでいますよね。国際社会は一体何をやっているんだというそのような憤りももどかしさも感じます。エスラミさんはどう感じてますか？
So far, the international community has only issued condemnations, but in practice, not any meaningful action. In fact, Europe and many other governments have continued to purchase Iran's oil, gas, and natural resources and provided the regime with sufficient funds to buy hundreds of thousands of missiles and weapons from North Korea and China and Russia to supply Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and other proxy and terrorist groups. So they should stop business dealing with the regime and support the Iranian people. And this is our request.
いや、本当人殺しをする仕組みを止めなきゃいけないですよね。にもかかわらず国際社会が、沈黙している。だからこそ今そのイランの国民の皆さん、そして国外でエスラミさんのように声を上げている皆さんのために私たちは何をするべきか、今こそ何が必要だと感じてますか？
Yes. Right now, the regime has cut off the internet and telephone networks and commits mass killings in complete darkness away from the eyes of the world. For example, my wife and I have no information about my family. Reports indicate that between 10 to 20,000 people may have been killed. The international community must move beyond words and take concrete action to support the Iranian people and hold the regime accountable. Yes.
そしてここからはエスラミさんのこれまでの経歴と重ねながらお伺いをしたいんですけれども、まさにジュネーブでの軍縮会議をはじめエスキャップ、国連での経験を踏まえて、国連はじゃあ今もイランの政府の暴力を止める力を持っていると思いますか？
As you know, while the regime has cut off the internet, telephone networks, and reports now indicate that number of people killed in just 2 weeks in Iran has exceeded the total casualties of the 4-year war in Ukraine. It is the responsibility of the United Nations to act to prevent genocide in Iran. But unfortunately, Russia, China, and their allies within the UN are blocking any meaningful action and preventing the organization from fulfilling its humanitarian duty. This is our problem.
Yeah, Security Council is sleeping now. Yeah. さらにエスラミさんは生物兵器の禁止条約での議論にも参加されていて、その立場から、現在、民間人がこれだけ殺害されている現状に関してはどう考えていますか？
If you recall, during 2023 Women Life Freedom demonstration in Iran, the regime used chemical agents. Do you remember? Chemical agents against the schoolgirls in schools and high schools in order to suppress the girls' protests, the women protests. And now, mass killings in darkness. From the perspective of international law, it is a serious crime against humanity and violates the most fundamental principles of human rights. What is happening in Iran is not an internal matter. It is an international legal responsibility to prevent and stop such crimes.
そうですよね。さらにエスラミさんは広島でユニタールの取り組みもしていて、本当にありがとうございます。
My pleasure.
はい。まさに核兵器の問題というのは世界中が今向き合っています。その核の問題をどうするのかということですよね。エスラミさんにとってこの広島で交渉事を行った経験というのは今の現状と重ね合わせてどう見てますか？
Yes, UNITAR in Hiroshima provides training for the members on human development, human rights, and peace building. But when I saw the Islamic Republic was participating in these organizations and pretending to respect human rights, but inside the country, they brutally suppressed its own people. I felt deeply saddened and morally distressed. This contradiction was one of the reasons that I decided to take personal risks and openly stand against the regime. That is why UNITA was very effective for me.
そのギャップがやっ
Yes.
ぱりとても苦しかったということですよね。
Yes.
で一方アメリカの存在も非常に大きいですよね。アメリカが今回どう関与するのか、北米局で外交交渉を担当されていた経験からアメリカというものの存在に関しては今どう感じてますか？
About America, let me first express the general feeling and sentiment of the Iranian people. Overall, many Iranians are deeply angry with the US Democratic Party. Iranians believe that during President Carter's administration, the Democratic Party played a major role in the fall of the king. More recently, during the widespread protests and killings, people repeatedly cried out, Obama, help us, Obama, help us, But both Presidents Obama and later Joe Biden sided with the regime rather than supporting the Iranian people. In contrast, recently President Trump has clearly stated that he will not side with the regime as Obama did, and this has created the different expectations among many Iranians, and we hope President Trump will help Iranian people against this criminal regime. This is our hope.
まあ確かに体制を維持するために政治的な駆け引きで結局市民の人権を守るではなくて体制が維持されたアメリカとイランの関係だったってことですよね。
Yes.
最後にですが、まさにこの外交官の立場、政府の外交官の立場から人権活動家にエスラミさん自身が転身したっていうのはどういう思いからだったんですか？
It was really difficult time for me when I was in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. During my time at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I witnessed the regime was selling billions of dollars of worth of oil, gas, and natural resources. But the money illegally went to North Korea, China, and Russia to purchase weapons, missiles, and nuclear-related materials. At the same time, the Iranian people were suffering from poverty, unemployment, and hunger. And when they protested against the hunger and these conditions, they were brutally suppressed. Seeing this deep injustice in Iran was a decisive turning point for me and pushed me to leave diplomacy and become a human rights activist. And my wife also supported me, and she came with me to Japan and supported me till now for 20 years. And I'm very happy to do that.
Do you feel scared, afraid?
At the beginning when I came to Japan, Iranian government came to Japan. They asked Japan government to send me back to Iran to be present because I have been a diplomat and I turned against the government. But Japan government supported me and gave me political asylum, and the police also supported me for a long time. Many times police accompanied me and my family, but now we feel very safe in Japan because Japan is really protecting us from the harms of the Iranian regime.
What is a human rights for you?
For me, human rights.
What does it mean, human rights?
Human rights means let us to express our feelings. That is all. Freedom of speech. That is all. This is human rights that Iran doesn't have.
Yeah, Iran is very important country for Japan because so long history. And we have to cooperate with each other more and more.
That's right. That's right. Before, during the king, Iran and Japan were the really big traders. Iran, thousands of Japanese engineers and Japanese companies used to make production in Iran, but after the revolution, there is no trade between Iran and Japan. But I hope when the regime changes, during the king come back to Iran, Iran and Japan can have the best relation among other countries in the world. This is my hope. And I try to do that as a diplomat again, if I go back to Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
I'm worrying about the situation. Yeah, so please give Japanese audience your message.
Of course, I want Japanese people to ask Japan government not to be silent against these crimes against humanity in Iran. This is our message for the Japanese people. Please ask your government to support Iranian people. That is my message.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for
very
inviting
much.
me. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。エスラミさんのインタビューをお届けしました。エスラミさんは、明日ですね、在日イランの皆さんと共に、日比谷公園で、集会を開きます。 その情報なども概要欄に書いておきますので、ぜひアクセスをしてみてください。エスラムさん、ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。